It is another New York Liberty game day, but I don't know, Mish. We got to talk about how the last game went down because I don't know how the Liberty feel, but I feel some kind of way. We'll get into that and a lot more news in what is a special pregame episode of Gotta Get Up, a podcast for New York Liberty fans. Gotta get up, gotta get up, gotta get up. Hey, women's basketball fans, welcome to Gotta Get Up, a podcast for New York Liberty fans, brought to you by Black Rosie Media and hosted by Erica L. Ayala. All right, women's basketball fans. Welcome to a special episode of Gotta Get Up, a podcast for New York Liberty fans. My name is Erica L. Ayala. I am the founder of Black Rosie Media, and I am here with Misha Jones, who's been joining us for a hot minute, season 2 now with Gotta Get Up. Misha, how you living?
Living great, living well, living swell, all that good stuff. And yeah, it's actually been like over a year. Like
wild.
We're pushing. I don't even know how long it's been, but it's been a while. So shout out Black Rosie. Y'all already know.
Yeah, let's go. Come on. We're trying to do big things. We got a big summer coming up for Black Rosie, working on some final plans, but you already know we will definitely have you covered for the Olympics. And we have a few Olympic topics today, including that we just not too long ago heard from Sandy Brondello, because it is a game day for these here New York Liberty. They will be hosting the Los Angeles Sparks, which takes us to our shoot around topics. Misha, is the 3x3 team all right? Like,
you want to talk about stuff falling apart quickly?
Wow.
I mean,
wow.
Cameron Brink tearing an ACL. First of all,
heartbreaking.
Up to that baby girl. I am so gutted for her because she has just been such a star. She has been, one of the best rookies in this rookie class. You know what I mean? Depending on where you stand, I don't know if she was in your Roy conversation just yet, but I mean, to watch what she was doing and to see her go down that way, so sad. So yeah, sad about that. And what are they gonna do?
I mean, it's going to be tough. I mean, we won't get to see Cameron Brink against the New York Liberty tonight, which is unfortunate because I'm sure a lot of the New York fan base was looking forward to that. As far as top rookie of the year, I think it's hard to make an argument against Angel Reese and likely Caitlin Clark, although Reese still edges out Clark for me personally. I just think for what Reese is doing in her position, she is the best rookie with regard to fit for her team. I feel like we talked about this before. She's really being given an opportunity to make a difference, make a positive impact with Chicago. I think we are starting to see Indiana settle in a little bit more. It's almost like they started listening to everybody on the internet about running the offense through Aaliyah Boston. But I mean, what do we know?
Look, hey, I must be chopped liver. I don't know. Y'all tell
me. I mean, but yeah, gutted for Cam Brink. But also, now this doesn't seem like it's that severe of an injury in comparison to Cameron Brink. But of course, Ryan Howard was also named to that 3x3 team alongside Haley Van Lith and the OG Sierra Burdick. And Ryan Howard also went down with an injury this week.
Yeah, and that hurts. I won't say it hurts worse because injuries suck for everybody involved. But Ryan, she's just at a point where I feel like folks are just now really recognizing what kind of star power she could have. And her being on this team to me was going to be, a great opportunity to showcase, okay, you think I'm overrated? Here's what I can really do when given some space and some pace. This is why I'm the star that I am, because I'll cook you one-on-one or I'll cook you, 3-on-3. And yeah, I do not envy Team USA 3-on-3 right now, and the decisions that have to be made, the last minute additions, all that good stuff.
Yeah, and I see a comment, Damien. Y hola, ¿qué pasa? I saw your comment earlier. We are going to get into that. Also, got to give a shout out to Daniel. Yo, what's good? What's good? All right, JC, you better be on time. You better be on time. I love it. I love it. We know Brian will not be with us. That's because he is live at the Liberty game, holding it down. So we're going to give him a pass this time. You know. But it's all love. Brian Florenton always here. In spirit, if not on the stream. But yeah, I agree with you, Jen. Angel is balling. So just before we get into that, because we are going to talk about who could potentially take the roster spot. And already it's like, 5-on-5 roster 2.0 with the takes. But we'll get into that. And I will let you know that we're going to do this as if it's a game day. So we have our morning shoot around. Then we have a pregame shoot around, and then we're going to get right into the pregame press conference. And that's the chance for the chat. So if y'all have questions in the chat, put them in the chat now, because this will be, at least in theory, a shorter episode. We always go longer than we expect, but we're going to really try to keep it nice and tight because it's a game day. So we got to get y'all to the game. But okay, so the thing that, of course, everyone wants to know, Misha, is who is going to replace Cameron Brink. And in the event that, for whatever reason, Ryan Howard or really anyone else can't go, because they only got 4 players.
Yeah.
You only get 4.
Small team, yeah.
So you're gonna want some healthy players that could go the distance. And it's like a nonstop game in 3x3. So before we talk about who is likely, I should say, to take the roster spot, because we know Cam Brink is out. Let's first talk about what the actual criteria are to be on the 3x3 team, because there's been a lot of misinformation per usual. I mean, that's just a sign of the times. And I feel like one of our episodes, someone was like, oh, did y'all see what Jamel Hill wrote in the Atlantic? She does not write for the Athletic. I always think it's hilarious when people troll her and don't even get her publication right. But anyway, so 3x3 is a little bit different, Misha, than 5-on-5. But what still holds true is that people who have been in camp, and very specifically for 3x3, those who've been in competition are the ones who are going to be considered. So with 3x3, there are actually points that are designated to individual players. And I spoke on CBS Sports HQ today about this because I was asked, well, why do they do that? And I was like thinking to myself, bro, I don't know why they do that. But I think the 3x3 model is kind of like what we're seeing for a lot of the other qualifiers that are happening: track and field, swimming. Shout out to Simone Manuel.
Yes,
qualified. Yeah. You already know. And the like. And what do I mean by that? So you get points as an individual. And how do you collect points? You collect points by competing in 3x3 competitions. And there are also some designations and some rules regarding who can actually be eligible from the group of people that have collected points from you. And I got to give a shout out to the homie Megan Hall, because I'll say, for me, Megan, who also is a May 8th baby, shout out to the Taurus family. But the first person that I saw posting about eligibility. So clarity on who might qualify for 3x3 with Cameron Brink out. Left is FIBA eligibility criteria. Right is all the U.S. players who are currently top 250 worldwide in FIBA's 3x3 point system and could meet the criteria for consideration. Hamby is the likely pick. And I agree with her on that last point, and we'll describe why. But first, let's talk about what FIBA actually says. It's a 4-player roster. We talked about that. 2 players must be ranked within the top 10 of their country. And 2 players must be ranked within the top 50 of their country, or, important, or have the minimum number of ranking points. Now, I'm not exactly sure what the minimum number of ranking points is, but they're all these different qualifications. And so then the other list here is, it's actually Erica Carter who leads the US, is the top USA ranked woman 3x3. Lene Harper, Blake Diedrich, who's a name people might be familiar with. And you know who we don't see, and Dearica Hamby. You know who we don't see on this list?
Who could that be?
Well, there's two people I think that we don't see that I saw tossed around a lot. One is Caitlin Clark, and the second is Aaliyah Boston.
Yeah. Both are. It's tough because given all this, I think this is not common knowledge, obviously, right? Like this is, when people say, "Oh, USA basketball 3-on-3," they're thinking, "Oh, you go play pickup, you pick 3 people, whoever you want." That's just not how it works. And even more so than 5-on-5, you just can't go with
just
anybody.
Show up.
And so understanding that, I think, is extremely important. But both of those players, can they run a pick and roll like no other? Yeah, they can. But there are people who have been working towards this. It's the same argument that we had with the 5-on-5. It's just the entire thing has been rehashed because of the injuries. And so I'm also on the Hamby train. I feel like, with the performances she's had thus far this season, you gotta, you know what I mean? You gotta think she could be an asset to this team. But that 4th spot, I don't know.
Yeah. So Hamby, again, not the top ranked player. That being said, Dearica Hamby and Lene Harper are the only players from this list that is curated, again, by Megan Hall. Make sure you follow Megan Hall. Although we're going to talk about what Megan Hall had to tweet, because I did have some thoughts about that too. We're going to talk about that. But, also people just touch grass for just a wee bit, just for a wee bit. Anyway, so from this list, as you can see, Dearica Hamby, not the highest ranked player. That would be Carter from the points, or excuse me, I just want to, no, it is Carter, because I was like, I ran through this too. It's Carter. Blake Diedrich is also an interesting name up there if we need probably more of a guard spot. But the reason that it will likely be Hamby, not just because of what the WNBA numbers are looking like, but for me, Misha, is that there was a tournament in April in Springfield, and there were 2 3x3 teams that went, and Cam Brink and Dearica Hamby were on the same team. They had 2 teams that were able to compete, and Dearica Hamby and Cameron Brink have both been MVPs in international tournaments 3x3. I know a lot of people mentioning Alicia Gray, who obviously won a gold medal alongside Jackie Young and Kelsey Plum, and it was Steph Dolson, who at the time, of course, ended up being, I should say, with the New York Liberty. And so why not any of those players? It goes down to what we talked about with Caitlin Clark, what we talked about with other players, including now Arike Ogunbowale, who it has come out took her name out of the pool. Now, I'm almost positive that I said on this here podcast, although Arike would make an interesting and an intriguing pick for 5-on-5, sis was not in camp.
Nope. And so, again, it's like you said, it's the same argument with Kate. Like, why would you throw her in that team into a situation where you have to, I don't know what the practice situation is with 3-on-3. We talked about 5-on-5. They have 7 practices up until, all that good stuff. With 3-on-3, I don't know how many practices you have. It's still not enough. You know what I mean? To get used to that format, to throw somebody else new in that system. I just feel like, again, folks are taking for granted how hard it actually is, how good other countries actually are at basketball.
Yeah, I mean,
in 3-on-3 specifically, you can't have a weak link. You just can't.
And the top ranked players in 3x3 are Canadian. They're the Plouffe sisters. They're not from the US. And again, Erica Carter, most people don't know who Erica Carter is. Yeah. And again, we can't even, it's a non-starter to have the conversation about Boston and about Clark for right now. Steph Dolson also right now not ranked, so not available, even though she competed in the last Olympics, the first ever 3x3 Olympics. So it's a non-starter to say some names, and I just want people to sit back and just let's anchor in the facts. It's a non-starter. Aaliyah Boston, Caitlin Clark, and a bunch of other people are literally not eligible, because if you are not on the FIBA 3x3 rostered players, you're definitely not going. Then, as we just showed, there are qualifications within that. They're just not picking anyone off the street.
Right.
And in that way, 3x3 is a lot like other Olympic sports. There are qualifiers that you must compete in. And I think there is reason and rationale to that. Now, what I will say is, because we've seen people double dip, like Kelsey Plum, if you talk to her, I was able to talk to her before the Tokyo Olympics, and she genuinely didn't know whether she was going to be 5-on-5 or 3x3. You know who else did not know? A'ja Wilson. A'ja Wilson put in a little bit of time on 3x3, and it is to the discretion of the governing body of the federation, in this case, USA Basketball, who they're going to kind of how they're going to disseminate their talent pool. So now, though, when we see these injuries, when you have 3x3, you only can send 4 players. Not everybody, because again, Sierra Burdick and Haley Van Lith, not in the WNBA at the moment, but a decent amount of the pool that's available to USA Basketball is also playing in the WNBA. And you know what's a part of the WNBA and most every other sport? Injuries.
Yep.
So if they have limitations to how many players are even eligible, that might be something that USA Basketball has to figure out moving down the line. And again, if you talk to, like I did, people like Kelsey Plum specifically, who was double dipping, A'ja Wilson, I think, although she spent some time 3x3 and would have been fine going to the Olympics with either team, she felt and was right in saying that her chance to go to the Olympics was going to be 5-on-5, because basketball is basketball, but these are also different formats. So that's what it is. I think it's going to be Hamby. She played on Cameron Brink's team. She's competing well in the WNBA. And most important for me, Misha, is that she was in the most recent tournament, and thus in the most recent 3x3 camp with the players who have already been designated for the Olympics. Camp!
It was this part that really brought it home for me last time. Y'all know, if you know, you know. If you know, you know. That's all I'm saying. That's funny.
I mean, I see people saying politics, shaking my head. I mean, you could say it that way, but I don't think that this is kind of the let's toss that into politics. These are the rules. These are the qualification rules. That's just what it is. The politics would be if they find a way to get someone who doesn't fit within the qualifications on the team.
Exactly.
But yeah, like Damian said, it's not even an opinion. It's a fact. They don't have the experience. They are not ranked at all in 3x3. They're not. All right. So that is wild. And unfortunately, not the only injuries that we're dealing with. Maddie Zegras. I mean, Dallas got a whole list. They got a whole list of injuries. So, we blessing our heart for Dallas. You see on social media, every time an injury is listed for a team, someone posts Paige's photo somewhere. I'm like, damn, y'all need to chill. I don't know. We got some teams now trying to give the Mystics a run for their money in the lottery.
If I had a nickel for every time they got brought into this conversation, I would be, look.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. No, for real. Jokes aside, of course, we want to make sure everyone is getting a speedy recovery. Speaking of recovery, and someone who folks was trying to oust from the Olympics, the point guard is back.
Yeah. That is what, at the beginning of the season, we talked about it last time, I believe. Like, when you have two teams who are dependent on you, you cannot take chances with your health. So that, to me, the entirety of the first quarter of this season, it made sense for her to be sitting out, because you want her to be coming back, not just for the Aces, but for the USA basketball team, full strength, ready to go. and confident. You know what I mean? That mental piece is also a hurdle. But making sure she was firing on all cylinders before she got back out there. And now she's got enough time to, get into a rhythm of things with her team, with the Aces, to get that on-court, reps in. I mean, look at the production she had. She had 7 assists or in 4 rebounds or something in like 15 minutes.
The Aces were
acing. Absolutely. The Aces were acing. This is what we expected, right? Yeah. The Aces are a different team when she is in that lineup.
Yeah. I mean, and that's what we knew. That is exactly what we knew was going to happen. Likely, we love to see Chelsea Gray making her way back. Seems like she was very overcome. It's got to do it at home, which I think is also smart from the Vegas staff for a few different reasons. One, you're in your routine. You're not dealing with being on the road, which actually is something that the Liberty is dealing with. We're going to talk about in our next segment. So congratulations to Chelsea Gray. And I mean, the point guard. We love to see it. We love to see it. All right. I already see in the comments. That's how I started with the cold open. Now we talked about our morning shoot around. Now this is the pregame shoot around. And we talking lessons in chemistry. Because what happened against the Mercury? What happened?
That was just I can't hold you. Again, Diana Taurasi surprised me. Again, Diana Taurasi came out with some I can't hold you. I continue to be surprised at her production. But yeah, it just felt like down the stretch, the Mercury, you said in the tagline, if folks have seen it on Twitter, that it could have been the Mercury and the whoever else you want to throw in that category robbed the Liberty of a win. And you can argue that one either way, but I think just it was down the stretch. It just didn't feel like they were cohesive. There were turnovers that were just kind of scratch your head. How did that happen? That compounded with the fact that the Mercury were just firing on all cylinders. I mean, with BG back, they're just different. She talking about chemistry, she pulls that group together in a way that they really miss without her on that court. But yeah,
glad you mentioned it. Yes. Now there are 2 plays in this game, Misha, that Sandy Brondello spoke about, not in any detail because she didn't get any detail, but there was an early play regarding, was it foul shots or something like that, and they challenged early.
Yep.
Lost the challenge and then lose the timeout, cannot challenge again. And then there was the Kayla Thornton shot.
That was wild. I was like, in the angle of it didn't make it any better because I'm like, how can we tell that she kicked? We can't.
No, we couldn't. You can't. I mean, I've seen some egregious throwing my body towards the basket plays, and I'll be honest with you, Misha. Some people just shoot kind of crazy to begin with.
That's facts. That is also facts. But for me, the thing that bothered me in the moment on the Liberty's behalf is that particular closeout, and I ran it back just to see. I ran it back. That particular closeout, if I was shooting that basketball, I would have already been scared to land by the time I was halfway through my jump because they were already so close to each other. And so how can you put Kayla Thornton at fault when she's already worried about her landing space? And
that was wild.
Yeah, I refrained from tweeting about that one because I just knew. I was like, this is not, people can see plain as day. This is not, I don't know about that call.
That was wild. And so if you're wondering why Sandy Brondello didn't challenge, it's because she couldn't challenge. And she talked about that. But I'm gonna show it here. Lucas Kaplan and of course our dude Brian Florentin, they weighed in here, but I want to make sure y'all can see this. I want to make sure y'all can see this because I just never in my life. Come on, there goes the shot. I mean, she's barely across the arc. I mean, does she jump forward? Yes. I mean, yes. A decent amount of players jump forward when they shoot the basketball. You know what? Also, come on, look at the landing spot, look at the launch spot, and then the landing spot also for the defensive player.
Suge Sutton comes from easily a 1.5 feet, 2 feet underneath the arc and lands directly in Kayla Thornton's landing space. That to me is reckless closeout. I don't know how you call it anything else.
I don't know. I don't even know what to think. I'm not a huge fan of the closeout as a rule. I've talked about this on other podcasts before. Like, we change rules in sports because, generally speaking, one athlete who is like too big to fail gets hurt. Kawhi Leonard in basketball, Buster Posey for baseball fans. If you know, you know. Now, I feel like I talked about it on this show. Like, I mean, you can't even block the regular bases, let alone home plate. I don't know how people play. Like, I don't know how people play sports these days. You feel me? Like, I sound old. You know,
I don't know how people play sports.
Auntie yelling at cloud. I mean, I get it. You want to keep people safe. I mean, I would start with eliminating fights from hockey if that's really what we're trying to do, but nobody's trying to hear me on that. You want to talk about
being aggressive.
You want to talk about unnecessary, but now you can't, like, if the ball is being thrown and as the runner is coming, you mean to tell me as a defensive player you can't block the bag? I don't like it. And that, to me, does Kayla jump forward? Yes. Does Suge Sutton jump forward? Yes. I thought when that happens, benefit of the doubt, right? It's supposed to go to the offensive player. Guess not. But I like the point that you made, because multiple things can be true. And what is also true is that, and we've spoken about this, the New York Liberty have to clean some things up. Is it the worst thing in the world? I mean, some people are trying to make it like the New York Liberty lost the finals again. And I'm like, fam, y'all got to relax. Just say you don't like the Liberty. Just say you don't like the Liberty. I could deal with that. Just say you don't like the Liberty. Yeah. And, you know, all the Warriors out here calling for every little poke of Caitlin Clark, every little hair that's out of place. Ain't nobody come to Kayla's rescue. Y'all wasn't worried about bully ball or extra aggression or none of that. Y'all, nobody came to Kayla's defense. Where y'all at, man? Where y'all at?
Clear as day. The motivations are clear as day. They are.
Nobody had nothing to say about this game. I'm like, okay.
Selective.
Noted.
Very selective.
Noted. Y'all had nothing to say. Okay. All right. Just say you don't like it. I mean, total BS. No, I was robbed. Y'all are hilarious. Fouled at the 3-point line and the official messed up. Like, come on. And here we go. You know, all of a sudden, you know, we can't talk about officials either, because only one person gets to talk about officials, but that's a whole nother. Yeah. But
we need to talk about officials this year. Shoot. Look. Look.
Come on. But okay. This, to me, you know, I'm going to keep it funky. We try to keep it entertaining, but we also going to keep it real. We fell back into bad habits. Exactly, Jen. Yeah. Exactly. I mean, multiple things, like I said, can be true. And we also heard the Liberty were asked a lot about defensive assignments. Misha, riddle me this. Who had questions about the defense for the New York Liberty? All this length, right? All this length, and we still can't defend the perimeter.
Yeah. Something's got to give there. And, you know, it was something I found myself thinking about over the course of the game, too, as I was watching the matchups, especially coming out from jump. It's just New York's size. It's there in terms of what they were looking for from last season. Did they get longer? Are they bigger? Yeah, they are. But that means nothing if it's not effective. If you can't actually keep anybody in front of you, if you can't, you know what I mean? Like, length looks good on paper. It does. But when it comes down to it, when you're
What'd you say, Kia Stokes? I couldn't help it. It was right there. It was right there. Come on. Yeah. I've been on this train for a while. Kia, baby, I'm going to need you to know how big them shoulders are. Throw them bows and them shoulders. Shimmy shake, something. Come on. Anyway, that's a whole nother thing. But yeah, it wasn't there. The defense wasn't there. Some definitely blown assignments. The thing that I like And I want to make sure I say this in a way that y'all hear me though. The New York Liberty were disappointed after the game. Sure, and I think Damien, you put this in the chat too, right? Of course, you're going to look at the foul. That was a missed call. Period. And the New York Liberty were disappointed in the things that they couldn't execute. Period. Yeah. The thing that I like, that I hope that they can now parlay moving forward, is that they seem to be able to take things, at least publicly, in stride. I don't know what was said in the locker room. I feel like we've talked about this before, though. This is a not too high, not too low team.
Right.
They really look at things like a marathon. And that, to me, is the coaching of Sandy Brondello and her staff. Because she will be very blunt with this team.
They'll know what they need to do. And they'll know that it's not going to happen overnight. And they'll know that it's something that they need to continue to work at. And, I think it was a few episodes ago when you and Brian were both expounding kind of upon her style and the way she goes about things. I mean, a championship doesn't mean you have to go undefeated. A championship doesn't mean you have to, championship just means you're peaking at the right time. You hear people say that cliche all the time. And so long as they're moving in the right direction, it's not time to panic. They didn't lose a championship against the Mercury. They did not.
They did not. They absolutely did not. They lost their third game of the season.
I know. I'm like, look at the standings also.
And the Phoenix Mercury snapped the longest existing winning streak in the league.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's okay. Now what is, it's not that it's okay, but it's, again, something that I'm flagging. We got to look at the lead. Liberty blowing leads again. We don't like to see that. 12 is not it's not 20, but it's significant enough. Right. The turnovers and the points on turnovers is something that I'm looking at. Fast break points were about even. Now, second chance points won by the Liberty. When you have your rebounders working so hard to get the puck, you see, because I'm thinking puck retrieval. I just did a hockey podcast. When they're working so hard to get the basketball back, you gotta be able to set things up on the offense. And this is where I wonder, and we were critical, I think rightfully so, of Courtney Vandersloot last season.
Yeah.
Well, Courtney Vandersloot has not been with the team for an extended period of time. Sandy Brondello talked about it briefly again today, Misha. How do I want to say this? Because we're really not getting much more than she's not with the team. Let me put it this way, because a lot of folks in the chat, at least I know, were with us. We're riding with us last season. We appreciate you. Thank you for rolling through for Gotta Get Up, a podcast for New York Liberty fans. But that we talked about how Courtney Vandersloot was one of the players that it became evident that there were things that she and her family were dealing with that were beyond basketball, and that had to do with health issues. And the New York Liberty even supported the Vandersloot family in that way. So if I'm not saying that these things are connected. What I'm saying is that all of us in life have things that we go through. And when you're away for personal reasons, to me, it could indicate that there is something that you want to spend time handling with your family. Because sometimes you got to do that. It just happens that when Courtney Vandersloot has to do something like that, if that's what she's doing, she's a professional basketball player. So it's noticeable when she's not at work.
Yeah, this team definitely missed her presence. I mean, it's, you talk about needing to, when you have 14 second chance points, that's great. But you need somebody who can get you into your initial offense, who can find the right hands. Who can make sure whoever's hot stays hot. We keep feeding them the ball. We keep making the right decisions. And she's just, she might not be putting up the best numbers on the team in terms of scoring the basketball. That's not what she needs to do. She's your point guard. And not only that, her presence alone, we talk about it with the Aces with Chelsea Gray. I have to imagine, they might not have the same personality, but Courtney Vandersloot's presence matters for this team. And so her being, absent in whatever capacity, you have to expect that to have a toll on the team.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, another thing we got to talk about, because this is a podcast for New York Liberty fans, and sometimes we talk about former New York Liberty players. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't happy for somebody's Rebecca Allen.
Yep.
That's my homie.
Man, she has just blossomed so much in the past couple of seasons. Just watching she strikes fear in the people that she guards, I think now, frankly. And not only that, on the offensive end, she's found her groove. She can hit those, you give her an open look on a second chance opportunity. Oh, it's going down. The quick trigger, she's confident as soon as she's in the game. And I think Phoenix having her in instead of Cunningham for me is a good move.
Skirt.
Skirt.
40. Wait a minute. 42 3-point attempts for the New York Liberty. Another 30 for the Phoenix Mercury. That's wild.
Yeah.
That's wild. And both shooting above a 40% clip.
It was great to watch as somebody who enjoys offense.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I know. I miss me some Beck Allen. I got Beck Allen stories. Y'all don't even know. When we had locker room access and MSG, like Beck Allen, I got to know her a lot during that time, and especially learn how much she was working to be a better defensive player. So saying what you just said, Mish, and knowing the conversations that I've had with Rebecca Allen, because I still call her Rebecca Allen. I don't get down with Beck Allen, okay? You call her what you want, but we go back. I mean, I just love it. I mean, I'm like, there's a part of me that hates that she cooked against the Liberty, and there's another part of me that loves that she cooked against the New York Liberty, because I'm just here for all things that are good for Beck Allen. And I don't think it was a contentious exit, Allen leaving to go to Connecticut first. And now obviously with Phoenix, I think it was a part of what the New York Liberty felt that they needed to do. I guess we'll find out if it paid off. I mean, it got them to the finals last year. Not to say that they couldn't do that without Beck Allen. It was just all of the moving parts that had to happen to make everything happen the way it happened. So I just had to give her a shout out. Dolson. Okay. I know a lot of people like Dolson. For me, I mean, we talked about it on the podcast, right, Misha? It kind of seemed like the writing was on the wall with that one.
Yeah. They needed skills that weren't her priority. And that's not a knock on her as a player, because I love what she's doing with the Mystics right now. I think she's playing an extremely important role for that team.
Absolutely. And that's the value added. And also we have to add that she wasn't 100% healthy when she could have had the opportunity to do that for the New York Liberty while Jonquel Jones was still getting back into her groove. So there was just a lot there. It's not fair. Listen, Damien, I understand where you're coming from a fan perspective, but my gut is telling me that this is really something that Courtney and her family need to handle. And so we're going to, on this podcast at least, follow suit with what Sandy has been doing. Keep it brief and just say she's not with the team and we support her. She's not with the team. She's still a part of the team. She's still an important part of the team. And our hearts go out to her. We always support her. She's always with us. That's all we're going to say about that. Because at the end of the day, yeah, we're a basketball podcast, but life, there's so many more elements that are important. And basketball doesn't always hit the top of the list. So, yeah. Anyway, okay. What else do we got here? Yeah, no Vandersloot. We talked about that. So we have the LA Sparks here. They're an interesting team to me. How would you describe them? We've had a full-on rebuilds in New York Liberty history. We've had fire sales in New York Liberty history. We have my favorite comment that Jonathan Kolb knows I like to tease him about, the hybrid rebuilds in New York Liberty history. Where do we see LA, big picture, pulling out from this game before we get into our keys to the game? Where do you see this LA Sparks team, even before the Cam Brink injury?
Okay. Well, so for me, they have a lot of terrific young pieces that I think can pay off tenfold down the road. Like you talk about Ray Burrell, somebody that people forgot about for a little bit. I feel like she's doing a lot of good things so far this season. I think even Lexi being back, dealing with, illness and then coming back and kind of trying to find her groove. It's going to take her a minute to get there, but she's another young talent that when she's at peak, we know what she can do. She is a, sniper from out deep. I think, Zaya, I'm still not giving up on Zaya Cook. I know a lot of people, whenever you got a South Carolina person, people are going to get polarized on one side or another. I think Zaya Cook still has tremendous upside. And then with Hamby and Clarendon as your vets, with Ari McDonald, somebody who it's not the same the college level, but what she did at Arizona will forever, in that last tournament run will forever make me, respect what she can do when you put her in a corner. So I just overall think they have a lot of great pieces. They're doing what they're supposed to be doing right now. I didn't expect them to be tops of the league. Like, they just didn't have that kind of roster to compete with those teams. But it's just a matter of individual players being more consistent, the chemistry getting better. And then, yes, I was going to bring up Rakia Jackson is just another star rookie who's finding her footing. But the things she's able to do, that turnaround, one-footed jump shot, that, tenacity on the inside and fearlessness, I think are all things. Yeah, there are all things that LA can build with, but it's just a matter of putting those pieces together.
Yeah, for sure. So I see we have some comments in the chat, including trades, including hardship, which I don't think technically the Liberty, at least as of right now, they qualify for. But we're almost to our pregame press conference, which is our last segment. Again, it's a little bit different of a show because it's a pregame show and not our usual Thursday show. So we're going to keep it a little tight here. So if you have specific questions for us in the comments, specific questions for us, place them in the chat now. Put them in there
right
now for a chance for us to answer them on this here pod. Okay. I know a lot of people have been mentioning this, but we're going to get into it now. We're going to get into our pre-presser the pregame presser. And so one of the comments / questions I've been seeing is regarding Betnijah Hamilton, who was downgraded, I suppose, to questionable tonight. And we heard from Sandy Brondello, pregame presser. That's why this segment is called pregame presser. We heard from Sandy Brondello that this is more of a maintenance / precautionary thing. The New York Liberty, she also said it was a really tough to do that red eye to then get back to the East Coast to be ready for the game where they're playing, ironically, a West Coast team. And just imagine, like, when she said that, I was like, dang. And we used to not have charter flights.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Lord.
That's
just wild.
Non-existent.
Wild. Anyway, but regarding that, the Betnijah Hamilton has been dealing with, it sounds like, some swelling in one of her knees. It is not, it seems like it's one of those things where, you maybe hit the ground, you make contact, and things kind of swell up sometime when you go through what you go through. But it sounds like, although she was listed as questionable, at least as of the press conference, that at the time Sandy Brondello spoke in Barclays before the game, that Betnijah Hamilton could be available, but it was a matter of if the team was going to use her or not, given the big picture. Mm-hmm. We know Betnijah Hamilton is a huge piece for this team. I think that there's been some fluctuation in her effectiveness and her play at times. And if that in any way has to deal with some of this swelling or whatever contact created it, why not give her a night off, especially, no shade, no tea, when you know that this is a team that was struggling even with Cameron Brink, and now that is a missing piece, where I think there's enough that the Liberty have where, at least on paper, they should be able to weather the storm.
Yeah.
Or the Sparks.
We know what you was talking about. Oh, yeah. And more than that, I also think it's an opportunity for the Liberty to really see what kind of chops they have without a defensive general like her on the basketball court. Against a team like you just mentioned who was already struggling. So it's I'm not one who's gonna say, oh, that should be an automatic W for anybody, but this game, if the New York Liberty wants to work on what let them down against the Mercury, it should be an automatic W. If they're gonna turn it up on defense the way that they need to and work on things the way that they need to, they should be putting the hammer down here. I mean, they're short-handed. You're losing a big energy piece in Cam Brink, like you mentioned. So I want to see who steps in, steps up.
Yeah, for sure. I know Damien has been in the comments, and so I want to just use this question that was posted. Do you see the Liberty losing these 2 games against the Sparks? Would you think about a hardship contract or trade to boost up the roster? Let's start with the first piece. Do you see the Liberty dropping these 2 games, these coming games to LA?
I do not.
I'm with you. Yeah, mm-hmm. I don't see that happening. Do you think a hardship contract? Let's start with hardship contract. I don't believe that as of right now, the New York Liberty qualify for a hardship contract.
Yeah.
Because they have Niara Sabally is also out. I should say that Sandy Brondello also talks about Niara Sabally. That's a little bit more of a it didn't seem like Sandy was too concerned about Niara, I guess kind of long term, but she's not available. Mm-hmm. So with Niara and with Courtney Vandersloot and now Benijah Laney perhaps missing the game, I could see why you would maybe think hardship, but I would say unless Benijah or quite honestly anyone else gets to the point where they cannot go on more than a day-to-day basis, then maybe that would put the Liberty in a situation. I think even then, I'm not honestly sure if that would put them. Hardship is really hard to get. I don't think y'all understand.
Hence the name, people. Hence the name.
Well, I think the name is because you going through it, but it's also you got to really be going through it.
Yeah,
you got to be going through, like to get a hardship contract. Anyway, so as of right now, that's not an option. A trade. I also saw maybe like bringing Sherrod in. 7-day contracts I don't think are available to teams as of right now. That's, I think, a little bit later in the season you can do 7-day contracts. But again, there's the CBA, it gets a little wonky. We just need to add more roster spots. And by that, I mean the teams we have. I'm not talking about expansion. We already know expansion is coming, but I've always advocated for more roster spots. So I don't think that the Liberty I don't see them making a trade unless they absolutely feel like, one, in my opinion, there's no way Courtney Vandersloot's coming back at all for the remainder of the season. Mm-hmm. It doesn't sound to me like that's where the New York Liberty believe they're at. If and when that ever becomes the case, I think, in my opinion, to get over the hump and to activate a different level of Sabrina Ionescu, who's been pretty good. I mean, you know what I've been saying. Vroom, vroom. Give them keys.
She acted like she want them keys now. She acted like she ready for them keys. She is. I give her that.
And she now she has attained, or at least because you're not an Olympian. I don't know if y'all know this. They take this very serious with the Olympics. You're not an Olympian until you compete in an Olympic contest.
Facts.
It's very, just like them 3x3 rules. It is very clear. You qualify, you were named, but you ain't get them rings until you step on the court.
Yep.
Or in the arena. It's very clear. Like, they don't play. It's the hoity-toity uppityness for me. They don't play. So anyway, I just want to make that clear. She ain't an Olympian yet, but she on her way. With that dangling carrot, come on. Sab she's a competitor.
Yeah. And that, we talk a lot about we don't say superpowers, but we talk about the skills that certain players bring to the table. I think that's one of Sab's best superpowers. This game up here, the mental game, man. She
I love this. Yeah. The book of
Ionescu. She cut like that.
I love it.
Like because just off the stuff she says in the pressers, like,
you don't play.
She don't play about her team. She don't play about her teammates. What's up, 9450?
We appreciate this, man. That's some love right there. That's some love.
Thank you.
Oh, thanks. We appreciate what you do out there too. What would you do if you're Kolb? I mean, I listen. You talking about now, or you want me to tell you how I feel about this roster? I've been telling y'all I was kind of iffy about this roster to begin with. I was like, Kolb, I'm gonna try and lean on my faith, but I'm not seeing the vision. But then that leads me to ask myself, well, what did I want to see? What would make this roster better? And I think you just need a grinder. And the only person that we had access to from what we did bring into camp was Sherrod. Mm-hmm. That kind of energy is what I would like to see on this New York Liberty squad. Mm-hmm. Because to your point, Sab is pretty dang close to activating full-on beast mode. Yeah. She's probably the closest she's ever been on a consistent night in, night out basis. She's like, yo, Caitlin, you take up that mantle, baby. I'm a ball.
You got it. It's almost like the weight's lifted off her shoulders. You know what I mean?
She's playing. And what happened? What happened when Sab entered the league? Who started going off?
KP. Hey, it's a pattern, it's a pattern. So, but yeah, I think, if we're talking about the Liberty roster, I think it's between her and JJ who's been the most consistent thus far this season. They've been, right up there with it. But yeah, I think Sherrod, like you said, you need, for me, the best comparison. Well, I shouldn't say best. I think best in terms of her mentality and the kind of spark that we're talking about this team needing. Kennedy Carter. She tees up Chicago every time she enters into that lineup. They need somebody like that. New York just has a bunch of cool cucumbers. No, you know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying.
Need more than cucumbers in a salad. Like,
now you need more than cucumbers. I mean, I need some spice.
Yeah.
I mean, even just give me some cilantro with a little lime on there, and that's going to change the flavor profile. You feel me?
A little bit.
Come on. Yeah. And yes, you're right. They did announce that Leo, and this is, I didn't get to this, but Sandy kind of played with us. It's a very hockey thing to be like, I'm not telling you who my starters are. And Sandy was like, well, maybe I shouldn't tell you. And then she's like, well, who do you think I should start? And the dude was like, oh, hey, I'm just asking the questions. And she's like, no, I don't care. She's like, Leo's going to start. So we knew that. We just didn't get to it in the podcast. But yeah, we knew Leo was going to start. That does not necessarily mean, at least according to what Sandy Brondello said in the press conference, obviously we're on live, so I haven't looked at the final report. That doesn't necessarily mean that Lainey Hamilton is not available, but in the event that she wasn't starting, well, again, Sandy said Leo's starting, so we knew that from the press conference. Damien, what else you want me to say? What you want me to say? I done said what I had to say. Give me some. I want some grit. I want some sandpaper. I want some moxie. I mean, how I want some picante. I mean, how many other words you? What? Just, man, I don't know. I don't know what you want. What you want?
Yeah.
What you want?
I think everything I mean, a lot.
Yeah, I like what you said about Kennedy Carter. I mean, Angel Reese has a little bit of that moxie, just need a little bit of punch. The Liberty don't have a punch right now. But Lainey Hamilton's playing a little bit differently. I don't know if it's conservative. I don't know if it's just that it's a little bit out of sync. It's just a little different right now. And what do we know about the New York Liberty? That they relied a lot on her on the defensive side. Now, I want to go back to something because I feel like, Mish, you snuck it in there real quick before, because we got to let folks get to the game. You kind of snuck it in there. And one question that I wanted to address to the New York Liberty fans is, how are we feeling about people making a big deal about Sabrina Ionescu going hard for her teammate and saying she's one of the best players in the world? How do we feel about that?
I'm fine with it. I am fine. I'm like, stand 10 toes down for your teammates. Absolutely. Sabrina Ionescu is not the New York Liberty's PR. Sabrina Ionescu is not responsible for making sure everybody in the league is getting the shine that they want. She don't have to tell you that Asia Wilson is the best player in the league because she doesn't need to believe that. She got JJ on her team. Why would you not stand 10 toes behind your teammate like that? And that's what I'm saying when I say I love her competitiveness, because she got the guts to say some stuff like that on national TV and mean it with her whole heart.
And mean it. You know what? Because it benefits her and her team for her to say, I don't even care if it doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. I'm gonna be on my SAS. It's not that what you're saying is wrong. It's that we don't care. It's that we don't care.
Yeah.
It's not that what you're saying is wrong. It's that we don't care. I don't care if she's right or wrong. I love that she said what she said.
That wasn't the point, her being right or wrong at all. At all. Like, it's about, this is a New York Liberty win. This is my New York Liberty teammate. And we go talk about New York Liberty business right here on this post game, press.
Who got the mic?
Yeah.
Who got the mic? And you know what? People don't understand this about leadership. And that's what people like. The Last Dance started putting people on to how athletes really think.
Mm-hmm.
Why else would Sabrina say something, even if she doesn't believe it? Because you know who needs to believe it? John Quell fucking Jones.
Yep.
That's who needs to believe it. She is not reading your comments. She's not, I promise you, she's not reading your comments. She don't care. She don't care.
Mm-hmm.
It's that she don't care. I'm getting on my Stephen A. Smith. She don't care. Because she said that for John Quell Jones. She said that for the New York Liberty.
Is that how he sounds? We don't care.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. In my mind, that's exactly what that man sounds like. He's always all breathy. Why are you so breathy?
This is what you sound like to me. Or he sound like this because the TV muted. Matter of fact, I just turned it off.
Hey, high five for that one. Let's go.
Okay. Anyway, let me relax.
Oh man, it's that we don't care. I was like, bro. Wait, thank you for saying the quiet part out loud. Anyway, I love that Sabrina said what she said. JJ is having a fantastic season, and she's doing exactly what the New York Liberty need her to do. Now, we're going to get out of here soon, but put you on the spot, Misha. Not really, because it's in the rundown, but we'll pull back the curtains. Do you think JJ has a legitimate, is she a legitimate part of MVP conversations as of today, which is still not even halfway through the 2024 season?
Hell yeah. I don't see why not. I do not see why she wouldn't be. JJ is expounding upon everything we saw her do in the playoffs last season. Y'all remember that? You remember the way she put that backpack on and was like, all right, we march into the promised land? She's giving us that. I mean, she's healthy. She looks like she's, at full speed, at full strength. Yeah, I don't see why she wouldn't be.
Now, here's another question. Now, this wasn't in the rundown. What do we think about Stewie? Stewie, she did talk about the three-pointer, finally getting to see some of those go down. I can understand why she's not top 3 in the conversation, but I think for me, my prediction is that Stewie could come back from this Olympic break like JJ came back after All-Star.
I do see a world where that happens. I do indeed. At this current moment, if Stewie is at all in the conversation, it's marginal for me. Just because of, I mean, it's not to her detriment because she's her teammate, but JJ's just been, you know what I mean? JJ's just been that good. So, if she's in the convo right now, it's marginal, but yeah, I can see that too. When you get over there, get your steeds together, get your gold medal, or let me not assume.
Also, it's likely the odds are in their favor. I'm not exactly sure what you mean by this, Damien. I'm not sure if you're saying that JJ's not an MVP candidate or you're talking about Stewie. It's Asia Wilson. I mean, Asia Wilson's having a beast of a season, but that I think goes back to what you were saying. John Quell Jones comparative to Breanna Stewart on the same team. If you could only pick one, which who says that that's the case, it's gonna be JJ. But I've said this on social media. I'm going to say it again and then get y'all out of here. I'm really curious because I want to hear people put out with their whole chest MVP conversation people. And here's the thing, because I've been putting AT in MVP conversations for at least 3-4 years now. Being in the conversation does not mean you will win MVP.
Facts. Only one person gets to say they did. Only one.
Come on, people. Let's deductive reasoning. Let's do that. So is JJ in the conversation because of the value that she adds to the New York Liberty? For me, absolutely. Is Asia Wilson in that conversation because of the value that obviously she has for the Aces this season? Absolutely. Same thing with AT. And I agree with you, marginal, but worthy of keeping a little asterisk and keeping an eye on. Stewie, absolutely. But for all y'all who all these years told me that I'm wrong because I don't immediately vote for best player on best team, if you was voting today and you vote for Asia Wilson, explain yourself.
Say that.
If you have been saying for years that it has to be best player on the best team, and if we were voting today, you're still saying Asia Wilson, explain yourself. I ain't got no problem with Asia. I have a very big problem with people saying you can only win MVP for being the best player on the best team. And people going to stumble on their words if the Aces don't figure things out, which I think they will, to be clear. We've already had that conversation. So don't be cutting this and trying to be like, oh, no, I'm not hating. I'm not, let me make it clear. I'm not hating on Asia Wilson. I'm hating on people who say things with their whole chest and then backtrack when it doesn't fit how they want things to go.
And move the goalposts.
Skirt.
Yeah, I think yeah, I think that's accurate. I think folks, once we all come to a consensus.
Damn. I just saw this.
Oh, sheesh.
There you go.
It's exactly what Erica was saying earlier. Things happen off the court, folks. Life is more than the game. So
damn. Jen, thanks for that update. Obviously, we're not in the arena. I know that was an abrupt, but I literally just saw that comment. And I don't know. Those are the vibes that it was giving. And so I'm very proud of how the New York Liberty have handled this. And we'll just say it here. I haven't seen this, but Jen, I have no reason to believe that you would steer us wrong. I'm sure once I hop off here, but of course our thoughts go out to the Vandersloot family. So there you go. And I'll also say this because I think it's extremely important. And, this is my little platform that I like to use. If you've not been in a situation where you've lost, especially a parent, just be mindful that the grieving process is just that. It doesn't stop. And so what I hope doesn't happen from here, and certainly will not come from my mouth, is trying to put a timeline or a finite period of time for Courtney and her family to figure out where to go from here. So just put that out there. Dang, that was tough. We were just going off again on things that at the end of the day, it's silly. We're just having fun here, but real life
will be happening.
Real life. So thank you, Jen, for sharing that. And, definitely giving a hug to anyone who, if that hits you a little hard for any reason, one way or another, we'll keep up with what we know and go from there. But if they're, we know we got to get folks ready for the game, but I hope y'all enjoyed this format. I mean, again, I say that with it, knowing that no transition from that's going to be easy, but this is something that we can also experiment with, doing some pregame stuff, because usually we record on Thursdays and that's what we want to be able to do, but come at you consistently, and we'll get back to you regarding what the Olympic break is going to look like, because I will be in Paris, but we also know some current and former / future New York Liberty players will also be there as well. To maybe just transition and to lift the mood a little. Have you seen, Misha, the video of Team France doing like the like where they scream for like promo videos? So I forget who it was. Excuse me. It was Gabby, another player, and then they showed they showed Marie and Johannes, and so you know how they do those promo videos and they have them like scream because then they make it into like a hype reel. And so it's like Gabby Williams like, ah, and then it's just Marie and Johannes like it was so Marine. It was so MJ. I miss her.
Yeah.
I hope she's having a good time with team France, and hopefully we'll see her in a New York Liberty uniform soon. But we're gonna close on that. Again, just sending our love to the Vandersloot family and of course the New York Liberty immediate family and extended family as well. And we appreciate y'all rocking with us. Misha, before we get out of here, anything that you have coming down the pike that you want people to tap into? I know, I mean, you're like a hot commodity on basketball podcasts these days. I was like, oh no, we might not be able to keep you.
You know how it goes, Erica. I'm trying to get reps wherever I can. But yeah, exciting news, folks. We want to give our thanks to Erica as well for being the plug on this. But yeah, starting a new gig. Good Game with Sarah Spain is going to be coming y'all's way mid-July. I think July 17th is our launch date. Daily women's sports podcast, takes, opinions, recaps, news, all that good stuff is going to be coming your way. I'm going to be producing that. So super excited about that. And yeah, we're out here. We're talking basketball whenever we have the opportunity to.
I love it. Congratulations. Of course, we will keep everyone posted on how y'all can subscribe and make sure you're following that. I know Sarah Spain has already been posting some stuff. The folks over there are putting everything together are in France. It gains right now, just really promoting this. But this is an opportunity for women's sports to have their own platform. And so, we are really excited for what we're going to get as fans. And of course, excited for you. So congratulations, Misha Jones. I'm happy to play even just the smallest little part, but hey, you did that. You put in the work, you put in the reps, like you said, and I'm glad that people are seeing your talent because we sure have. So
Appreciate
you.
Man.
It's all love. It's all love here. And Aloysius, I want to send you some love as well. I mean, thank you for being vulnerable and sharing and, sending love to your family as well. I have another good friend who just lost her dad. So, it's tough times and we're grateful always for all of y'all who tap in. We don't always know what's going on with each other, but I know I can speak for myself. And I think Misha and Brian as well, that we appreciate the time we spend. Now, we don't always agree and that's fine too. But at the end of the day, it's always love and y'all show up for us. So we want to show up for you. So let's get you over to that New York Liberty game. Let's see what they can do against the Sparks. And of course, we'll be back next week. And here's where we awkwardly wave. Or we should start doing the Ellie wave.
Please. I need to get a braid. Aren't they selling the braids? I'm going to start doing this.
Get the braid. All right, y'all. Have a good night. Enjoy the game. We'll see you soon.
Bye. Word.